So I want to ask you about a moment I know you've been asked about a lot the last couple of days, because one of the main points of criticism was not standing up to the president when he contradicted medical and scientific advice. And I think the moment, of course, that you've been asked about a lot is on April 23rd, 2020, when Trump, publicly mused about using bleach as a disinfectant or as a means to treat the virus. In your book, you wrote that I looked down at my feet and wished for two things, something to kick and for the floor to open up and swallow me whole. And then you had told ABC News, frankly, I didn't know how to handle that episode. I still think about it every day. I'm wondering if you've thought about how you would have wanted to do that moment differently, or if there was a way to handle it differently.
Well, and talking to ABC, and that's why I love dialogue, because other people have different insights that really allow you to understand how to do things better. I never made that same mistake again, and I don't try to make the same mistake twice. I try to learn from those. I did say not a treatment. I think what was very difficult for me is having been military and your commander-in-chief is standing there. He wasn't talking to me. He was talking to the DHS scientists. So he was turned at a complete right angle to me. In other words, I couldn't catch his eye. I couldn't shake my head. I couldn't be like, what are you doing? I couldn't send any nonverbal signals about how, and that's why I was looking at the floor, because I could not figure out how to get his attention. And frankly, the DHS scientist was encouraging this line of dialogue, which is another thing I couldn't understand in any way, because that DHS scientist was there for a sole reason, to do the research that we had asked for in task force to convince parents that playgrounds were safe. And so it was a comparison between known disinfectants and sunlight, which we know produces hydroxy radicals and other free radicals that do disinfect and kill membranes of the virus. So I'm thinking that this is an opportunity to tell the American people that it's safe to take their children outside, because I was very distressed that playgrounds were closed and I knew outside was safe. And so how that became this, I didn't understand until I left the meeting, and obviously I pushed back very hard. That's why the president said the next day he was joking. Of course, we went to CDC and FDA so they could also put up alerts. But that did not have to happen. And I think it illustrates the difficulty in this White House, where there was a lack of discipline around access to the president and access to the president's information not being portrayed in a comprehensive manner. Certainly, if I had been in the Oval Office when they had started that dialogue, I would have been able to prevent this from happening. But I think ABC gave me a great insight in that she said, well, maybe you could have stepped between them. And, that hadn't occurred to me before. I was only thinking of going, to the podium. I wasn't thinking of stepping between the dialogue. And I think that would have been the right thing to do.